Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik with RazorEmporium.com, here today to do one of the most exciting videos I could possibly think of. Fatboy Showdown. So it's been years, people have asked us all about, when are you ever going to talk about a bottom dial Fatboy versus a regular production Fatboy? We thought not only are we going to talk about it, we're going to do a comparison shave for you right now, today. Let's go. So in the early part of the 1950s, Gillette was trying to get an adjustable razor that would be meant for men and women of many different skin varieties, and they came up with this bottom dial razor, the toggle razor, this whole concept of adjusting the blade by turning a knob. So this is one of the most sought after razors in the razor world out there. It's kind of like the holy grail razor to get is a bottom dial. So these were not made for very long. The dial was down here. That turned out that people really like the knob up towards the top. And that's the standard production Fatboy you see. But because of this rareness, there's kind of a mystique around the Fatboy. So we thought today we're going to give it a shave. I've loaded up each razor with Pulse Silver blade, which is my go-to. Also, we have lathered up with my go-to shaving cream and pre-shave routine, which is all Parasso. We've used our standard Omega brush. And so we're trying to hold all other variables constant here and just evaluate and compare the bottom dial Fatboy to the production 1.95 Fatboy razor, as it's called. So here it goes, first stroke. I've set both to number 3, which from my experience is a pretty good range for me. There is a difference if you look at some of the mint condition razors. We've actually done evaluating on some mint condition razors. There is a blade gap difference between them, so I may have to kind of tune them in to be more equivalent. I'm now dialing up to number 4. So far, so good, very smooth. Very nice. Now before I go much further, I'm going to try to do one half of my face with one and one half with the other. I'm now going to take that same, this is a revamped Rhodium Fatboy, but all the tolerances are to factory spec. So let's give this one a shave. Okay, I'm going to dial this one also up to 4. When I use my slim, I use number 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. These numbers actually correlate with different blade gaps, blade angles, and they closely replicate the flare tip red, for heavy, blue tip for light, flare tip for regular. It's basically the same series of blade gaps changing. We did an awesome video on the history of Gillette adjustable videos, and you can check that out in the comments below if you want to check out that video. So I'm now at 4 on both, and I'm finding this to be a really good range. Wow, super smooth. I'm noticing the handle difference because of that dial down there. The weight of this one, the balance point is about here, whereas the balance point on here is a little bit more towards the dial. So it is a little more balanced, I guess you could say. I am kind of noticing as I'm shaving that it does have more of a kind of a counterweight action with that dial being down there. And Gillette did do lots of different testing. They were in different test markets trying to figure out different weights people wanted for these razors. Wow, that's super smooth. Different handle types, aluminum, brass, the knob being, aluminum or brass, and lots of different testing happened. But really, the reason that they went with the standard production is, again, people like the knob being closer to the top. It is kind of a little bit cumbersome that the dial is here and so is the adjustment band. But man, that one's so smooth too. I guess it's a little bit like comparing a Porsche and a Ferrari. It's like, which one do you really like? Because they're both great. I can certainly see why these have the reputation they do. It has been quite a long time since I've shaved with a bottom dial Fatboy. I do have one in my personal collection, but as many people may know, I don't shave with razors in my collection too often. I'm one of these weird collectors that wants to keep everything preserved and dusted off and all pristine. Okay, let's go back to our regular Fatboy here. Okay, I'm starting, now that I'm on my neck, which is a little more difficult of an area, not as forgiving as your cheeks, I'm starting to notice a slight difference. One of these horses is drawing a little bit closer in front of the other. And I really hate to say it. Let me just dial down to 3 to make sure I'm not feeling a difference too much, but I have to say it's starting to be the bottom dial. I don't want to say that. I want to tell you that the standard production Fatboy is just the best it is. And that Gillette was wrong, you know, or Gillette was correct in going with this model and abandoning that design. I'm not sure if it's the blade gap difference or the weight on the handle, but I'm definitely picking up a little bit more of a smooth action with the bottom dial. But again, I mean, we're comparing shades of gray here. They're both awesome. Yeah, I think it's the mass, and we'll make sure that the mass here is listed, but I can already kind of tell that the bottom dial is heftier. So that could be alone what's happening. It's one reason why people really like stainless steel razors, is because the mass ends up doing a lot of the work for you. You know, the age-old phrase, let the razor do the work, is very much true. And I have at least 2 or 3 days worth of stubble here, so there's no shortage of work for these razors to do. If I go down to setting number 3, it is a little bit smoother, but it's not cutting as close. Up at number 4 for me, where the bottom dial is at 4, it starts to get a little more harsh, but definitely more effective. Whereas on number 4 here, it's just effective, it doesn't feel harsh. Well, what a shave this was. A historic showdown between a production 195 adjustable Fatboy razor and a bottom dial Aquos razor, as they were called, which I believe stood for adjustable quick opening super speed. But that being said, pros and cons. They both delivered great quality shaves. I do believe the bottom dial had a slight edge with its smoothness and just kind of effortlessness. And I think it's the weight, I really do. And the fact that the balance is different and it has more mass to it. So I would say that the shaving performance is slightly higher with the bottom dial than the regular production Fatboy. However, a con for the bottom dial is its price and availability. I mean, you're gonna spend between $1,000 and $2,000 on one of these razors. They are not easy to come by. And even if you do get one, who knows what the condition is? You may have to send it in for a tune-up or revamp, who knows? So it's kind of one of those white rhinos out there trying to find one. Whereas availability and performance of your standard Fatboy was almost right there at a fraction of the cost. I mean, you can get Fatboys from $20, $50, $100. I mean, if you get one revamped like this, maybe $200, but you're not going to spend $2,000 on a razor. And it's a lot more common, and the performance was almost right there. So I would say that the Fatboy is a better value with nearly the same performance, and of course availability. If there's a part you need for it or whatever, you know, these are pretty straightforward to work on. The bottom dials are a little bit more complex. So kind of some different pros and cons. It was a heck of a lot of fun to use both in one historic shave here. Both sides of my face feel great, so it's not like one did a horrible job. I think it's more just a balance more than anything, and some of the mass. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and please like, comment, subscribe. Check out our YouTube channel for all sorts of other educational resources on all things vintage shaving. Turn to Razor Emporium for all of your shaving needs. Thanks guys, we'll see you next time.